With the open borders, they're not safe. My district doesn't feel safe, and it's unacceptable on every level.
Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief, but the magnitude of what's happening there is caused me to be here today. I'm grateful to those who've waited so long for all of us to have our words. Look, I've been to the border under President Trump, and I've been to the border under President Biden, and I'll be to the border in a couple of weeks. And I don't know how anybody, regardless of political persuasion, can feel good about what's happening down there. One of my Democratic colleagues said this is an unmitigated, embarrassing, unforgivable disaster. I don't care what level you're talking about, that is true. If you're talking about human rights, we are destroying human rights. If you're talking about human trafficking, if you're talking about drugs, any of these issues, this is just unacceptable. And I live in a state far away from the border, and it's a big issue. It may be the #1 issue in my district. I can understand that we have policy disagreements, but we're hurting Utahns and we're hurting Americans. I'd like to submit for the record this Washington Post article outlining the explosion of fentanyl from Mexico in southern Utah in a tiny town called, well, it's not tiny, but a town called St. George. The article is the narrative of how a Mexican cartel got a foothold in southern Utah, particularly St. George, bringing fentanyl, cocaine, meth from Mexico like a pizza delivery. The article explains about a gentleman, I won't call him a gentleman, a thug, Rubio, and how he used this front to bring this in. And since he started this, fentanyl overdose deaths have increased 300% in just 3-year period in this Utah town. Thankfully, he was apprehended. But the DEA estimates that there were 541 overdose deaths in Utah in 2022, with opioids attributing to 74% of those, and fentanyl-related deaths were 122 in 2019. With the open borders, they're not safe. My district doesn't feel safe, and it's unacceptable on every level. And because